So where's the starting point? People get so confused, overwhelmed with credit. It's one of those kind of topics that people shut down instead of just moving forward.
So I think we need to start to address that question even more expansively. And that is not just where do we start, but when do we start? And there's an adage out there or an expression, and I'm probably going to butcher it because I'm really good at doing that. And it's something to the effect of, you should always get things before you need them, because when you most need them, you're least likely to get them.
Correct. I mean, like if you got lines of credit a year or two ago and everything tightens up, you're a lot better than people trying to get them now. But people can get them now. It's just, you have to be a little bit shinier, like personal credit.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the starting point with all these people. Even though they're moving to business, the starting point always starts with me, with personal credit on the migration over to business credit.
So let's start with that. A lot of the misinformation on the internet is that you only need a 640 or a 660 or even a 680. And nobody really hones in on which score are we looking at. So let's start there. One of my favorite web reporting sites is myfico.com. The reason I like myfico is actually because you're going to get 40 different scores. For the average consumer, they're going to log into this thing and go, I don't even know what I'm looking at.
Too much.
Yeah, information overload. But I really like it because we can say, okay, in a mortgage, we are going to look at FICO 5.4 and 2. And we're going to look at that very first 5.4.2 version, and it's going to be spot on anything you would see on a mortgage side or any bank would. Then if we're looking at from a auto standpoint, we're going to look at FICO 8 or Vantage scoring model. Those are going to be the two models that we want to look at. If we're looking at credit cards, we're going to look at the bank card score. All of those are going to be available on myFICO.
And that's a great point, because if someone goes to Credit Karma or one of these other sites, they're not using the same scoring models as your lender. So by going to myFICO, just happens to be the company who creates or produces the FICO scores. So why not go to the source?
And it's just super clean to read as well, as far as what the reporting is. And after you pay for the initial $29 report, you don't have to keep paying in anything on a monthly basis. And here's the other thing that I really like. They're not in it to sell you. They're not going to spam you with 20, 30 emails a day telling you, here, to build your credit, do this. To clean this, do this. They're not going to sell you. So the odds of you making a false step that you didn't intentionally mean to are super, super mitigated.
Okay. So we're going to start with looking up your credit score. We're going to make sure we're using the right scoring models, going through myFICO.
And we're going to want to ideally see ourselves personally on the bank card score on that reporting at above a 680. Really ideally, especially in today's economy, as these banks keep tightening up and they're looking at their liquidity, we're going to really want to see ourselves above a 720.
Yeah, and we've seen that over the last 6 to 9 months in the mortgage and the lending world. It used to be a 640, that was a 660, now it's a 680, but you really need a 720. As you go up, as you get a better credit, more doors open. At this time, you need to really focus on your credit score. 2 or 3 years ago, you just went, maybe if you had a 640, it just meant you went from a 3 to 4% interest rate. No big deal. And now it means you go from a loan to no loan.
Absolutely. And then also even more so for investors, I would think. Like there's just all of these different overlays and components to contend with.
Because investors, wholesalers, they're all looking for credit cards. They're all looking for ways to fund things. Leverage is king in real estate. But the whole community of contractors, realtors, all of these people are looking for the same thing. Funding for any kind of business, if it's real estate, if it's contract, if it's a realtor who's doing it open a house, they all need some kind of leverage to grow. And that's, to me, like where they start is a personal side and then build it.
Yep. So
business.
Ideally on our personal, we want to be between a 680 and above. And really in that true happy spot is we want to be above a 720. Now, here's the good news, is getting from a 680 to a 720 is actually one of the easiest jumps we can make. It's much easier than trying to get from a 540 to a 740.